Theme parks are constantly changing, but it seems like now more than ever, Walt Disney World has reached a significant turning point. Several classic attractions have recently closed permanently, major expansions are on the way, and there's been some shuffling with executives. All this uncertainty at the parks got me thinking, hypothetically, what if you could save only one ride from each park? What are the keystone rides at Magic Kingdom, EPCOT, Hollywood Studios, and Animal Kingdom that should never get the wrecking ball? Really, I'm just trying to figure out which rides represent their parks best. That's today's goal, and obviously this conversation is just for fun. It's a ridiculous idea, and it's impossible to narrow each park down to just one ride. A lot of great rides will be eliminated in the process, no hard feelings. I'll decide with loose criteria like ride importance, popularity, vibes, and so on and so forth. Oh, and this is just rides, not shows or meet and greets or entire lands or park icons. That would get too confusing too fast, and it's not that serious. As always, please chime in, continue the conversation down in the comments. Anyway, enough blabbing, let's save some Disney rides. Going by opening dates, the first park we'll cover is Magic Kingdom. This is a very traditional Disney park based more or less on fantasy. Opening in 1971, it's nostalgic for a lot of people and is the most visited park in the world, so keep that in mind while we choose just one ride to save. I'll skim over some smaller attractions like the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, Astro Orbiter, the Barnstormer, Prince Charming Regal Carousel, and Mad Tea Party. No offense to those rides, but Magic Kingdom's Keystone ride isn't a spinner or ordinary family coaster. Another easy decision, Tomorrowland Speedway, bye. This ride doesn't have much to offer for all the space it takes up. I'm not as harsh about Tomorrowland Speedway as some fans are, but this can't be the one. Plus, Magic Kingdom's air quality would be better off without it. It would be hard to picture Magic Kingdom without Walt Disney World Railroad. It's such a welcoming sight and adds to the atmosphere. Magic Kingdom recently lost some of its vibes without Rivers of America, so I'd hate to do that a second time by taking away the railroad. But we can choose only one. A railroad can probably be rebuilt or something along those lines, whereas the same can't be said about other rides coming up. The railroad is an underrated part of Magic Kingdom, but I think it has to go in this situation. Also, if you think the Main Street vehicles should be in this conversation too, I think they're in just about the same predicament as the railroad. Nice for atmosphere, some extra Disney magic, but not strong enough to be considered the one. How about some Fantasyland rides? Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid, and The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. They're cute, and Fantasyland is at its best with good dark rides. However, I don't think it has to be these specific rides. Disney has plenty of other stories they can put in Fantasyland, so these two can go. How could you go to Magic Kingdom and not ride It's a Small World? Magic Kingdom wouldn't be the same without It's a Small World, but I think there are more important rides to save. Sorry. If this were the original Small World, I might consider hanging on to it. On to Pirates of the Caribbean. This is everything that's great about Disney put into one ride, but apparently it's not half as great as the original in Anaheim. I don't think that necessarily makes this version less than, but it's worth pointing out in this conversation. If I took the Orlando Pirates away in our little hypothetical scenario, at least Disneyland's Pirates will still exist. I'm sending this one to Davy Jones's locker. Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. I'm curious about the refurb and looking forward to when this reopens, but this isn't the Magic Kingdom ride. To infinity and beyond with you, Buzz. As for a fellow Tomorrowland ride and the park's newest ground-up addition, Tron Light Cycle Run, I love the launch, it's pretty, and it's a can't-miss ride at the park for me. But it's basically a clone of the one at Shanghai Disneyland, and for that reason, I can't justify saving it. It's not unique to the park. Magic Kingdom would still be Magic Kingdom without this one. At this point, I think narrowing down the one ride gets a bit tougher, and we still have a lot left. Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover. I don't want to do this, don't make me do this. Seeing Disneyland struggle with their People Mover for the past quarter century makes this probably the most difficult decision at Magic Kingdom. How could I bulldoze this? I don't want to, but looking ahead at the rides that are left, People Mover just doesn't have the same weight as the e-tickets. I'm sorry, I can't even bring myself to say it, but you know where this is going. Let's get some others out of the way, like Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I enjoy Tiana's and I really don't want to get into it much more than that because I'm tired of all the negativity about this ride. But is this ride necessary to Magic Kingdom? It exists at Disneyland too, so we'll let this one go. Fantasyland still has a few rides left. Peter Pan's Flight. Maybe it's just me, but this is a quintessential Magic Kingdom ride. It's classic, cute, charming, a little hokey, but still so nostalgic. No ride feels more Magic Kingdom-y than this one. I never skip Peter Pan's Flight, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Maybe Disney can rebuild it in a new way because it has its flaws. I'm eliminating it right here, right now. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is the smoothest, most delightful family coaster out there, especially with those swinging trains. The whole attraction kind of puts a bow on Fantasyland with its cozy, fairy tale, cottage type of feel. The Mine Train is an extremely popular ride, and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is such a historic animated film. How could a major Disney castle park not have a Snow White ride? Magic Kingdom without Snow White would feel wrong. I'll hang on to it for now. As a similar type of ride, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is a classic and an icon, but is it more essential to Magic Kingdom than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train? I don't mean to be dismissive, I respect Big Thunder, but when it's going up against a great Snow White coaster, specifically in Magic Kingdom, there's not much of a conversation. I'm not necessarily saying Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is better than Big Thunder, but Frontierland's coaster is not the one keystone Magic Kingdom ride, although I am excited for its refurb. The only rebuttal I have is that Frontierland is now unrecognizable after losing Rivers of America, so keeping Big Thunder would help preserve some of that area, but I think it's wise to just drop it now. Sticking with classic attractions, Jungle Cruise is an old school yet timeless ride that's just as good as ever. The skippers are hilarious, the gags hold up, and the environment is unmatched. However, there's a specific mansion, a potentially haunted one, that we have yet to talk about. Maybe I'm being unfair and shrugging off Jungle Cruise too quickly, but unless you're a river in Africa, Jungle Cruise doesn't stand a chance against that mansion, which may or may not be haunted. But before we get to that, there's still one more classic that hasn't been mentioned: Space Mountain. The architecture, the tone, the music, the out-of-control roller coaster, I am a sucker for Space Mountain. It has significance as an old aero roller coaster, usually recognized as the first roller coaster to use a computer system to control block sections, the first Space Mountain coaster, and probably on a very short list of the most famous coasters in the world. Closing this version of Space Mountain would be a major loss, but it is showing its age. This is a 50-plus-year-old ride, the oldest operating coaster in all of Florida. I personally love how out of control this coaster is. That type of chaos is rare, and I don't think I've been on another coaster quite like Florida's Space Mountain. But despite all that history and significance, I think the majority of fans would be excited if Space Mountain got the update it deserves. Tear down the track and build something more modern. A new and improved Space Mountain would be a better choice for Magic Kingdom, and for most people, I'm assuming, than to lose this next ride, Haunted Mansion. What more needs to be said about Haunted Mansion? A lot of fans consider this to be the best version of the classic ride. It is a legendary dark ride that has the classic charm Magic Kingdom is known for. Its environment, soundscape, humor, effects, ride system, various scenes, animatronics, and so on make Haunted Mansion the perfect Magic Kingdom ride. This is Imagineering at its best, a ride that inspired so many creatives in the industry. It may not have all the pixie dust of a Fantasyland ride, or all the optimism of a Tomorrowland ride, but Haunted Mansion has more than enough creativity and whimsy to represent as much of Magic Kingdom as one ride reasonably can. If only one Magic Kingdom ride could be saved, it would be this. Before moving on on to the next park, what do you think? Did I get it right? Which one Magic Kingdom ride would you save? The next park is EPCOT, which opened in 1982 as a permanent World's Fair. What's the one ride that should be saved from EPCOT? An argument could be made for Horizons, but obviously that ship has sailed. Let's stick to current attractions. Well, it is not gonna be Mission Space. I don't mind the ride, but I can't think of anyone who says it's their favorite. The biggest Mission Space fan in the world is probably just like, yeah, I like it, sure. We're probably doing Disney a favor by moving on from this one. Similar to the railroad at Magic Kingdom, I can't justify saving the friendship boat. We'll save ourselves the time and move on. Journey into Imagination with Figment. If we're talking about the original version, then this would be a completely different conversation. But it's no secret this ride isn't what it used to be. I say get rid of it and try again. Give Figment a deserving ride. The Seas with Nemo and Friends is a weird one because the pavilion overall is fantastic, and so is the Finding Nemo franchise. But the ride overlay with Nemo is not Disney's strongest work. In this ride's current form, I don't think this is the one EPCOT ride to save. As for a few World Showcase rides, there's Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. That fits World Showcase and the France Pavilion nicely, but it's a clone of a ride in Paris. I don't think it's as essential to EPCOT as other rides are. The Mexico Pavilion has what I think might be the most underrated ride at Walt Disney World, Grand Fiesta Tour starring the Three Caballeros. Someone tell me, why is there never a line for this ride? That indoor waterfront area is beautiful, and the whole ride has as much charm as any other Disney attraction. Maybe this is a topic for a future video because this ride deserves way more appreciation, but for the time being, common sense is telling me to move on from this one. If you think that's the wrong choice, then prove me wrong. Go get in line for this, please. Over in Norway, Frozen Ever After is a fine ride. I like it, I want to do it every visit, but it's not my absolute favorite. This is a very busy attraction. Honestly, Disney could just play Let It Go in a completely empty building, call it the Frozen ride, and it would still have a line out the door. Disney has given this ride some attention with new faces on the audio animatronics, but I wouldn't be upset in this scenario if they started fresh. If we're keeping just one ride from EPCOT, close this one and give Frozen another shot. Over at the Land Pavilion, Soarin' is an incredibly relaxing ride that fits the chill vibe of EPCOT. It's just missing a little something to make it the EPCOT ride. And it's not exactly original to the park either. You could do Soarin' at other Disney parks. But one of the most unique Disney rides is in the same pavilion, Living with the Land. EPCOT sure has a lot of slow-moving boat rides, huh? This one may not be everyone's favorite, but it is classic EPCOT at its finest, with some edutainment, optimism, and, well, shall we say, dull moments that you might expect from an old ride. Don't get me wrong, without getting too much into it, I love Living with the Land and how it's a functioning agricultural facility. How cool is that? That can't be overstated. There's nothing else out there like Living with the Land. But like I said earlier, it's not everyone's favorite. That leaves us with 3 rides: Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, Test Track, and Spaceship Earth. Cosmic Rewind is the most expensive coaster in the world, at least the most expensive coaster that we know of, so I can't imagine Disney bulldozing a $500 million investment so soon after it opened, but hey, this is a stupid make-believe scenario anyway. The cost really isn't the point. More so, is Cosmic Rewind the definitive EPCOT ride? Imagineers did a nice job working it in with the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion. It's as faithful as any Guardians of the Galaxy ride could possibly be to the classic feel of EPCOT while being modern. It just might be the best roller coaster Disney has ever produced, but I don't feel confident saving it for EPCOT. This doesn't feel like the one ride that should represent all of EPCOT. Maybe in this hypothetical situation, Disney can relocate Cosmic Rewind to another park. That leaves us with Test Track and Spaceship Earth. So Test Track was recently reimagined, and I think Imagineering absolutely nailed it. They understood the assignment, and I can't stress that enough. This is such an EPCOT ride. Meanwhile, Spaceship Earth has been in need of a refresh for quite some time now. It's almost unfair to compare a dusty Spaceship Earth to the current test track because of its condition at the moment. But even with all that in mind, how could I not save Spaceship Earth? Maybe I'm giving too much importance to Spaceship Earth as an attraction because it doubles as an icon. It's hard to separate the ride from the icon, but let's pretend that didn't matter. In this fake scenario, let's say Disney would clear out the ride and leave the icon untouched. I still think Spaceship Earth the ride is more important to EPCOT than Test Track. Is it dusty and in need of some TLC? Absolutely. But I think the right call here is to save Spaceship Earth and just spruce it up. The engineering of the ride system blows me away to this day, no matter how much I read up on it. The fact a dark ride somehow fits in that geodesic sphere, is elevated and spirals up the structure, it's unbelievable. I think it would be a disservice to take Spaceship Earth away from EPCOT. How about you? Is that the one ride you would save from this park? Disney's Hollywood Studios is a weird park to talk about in this scenario because it basically already lost its one or two. The Great Movie Ride and the Studio Backlot Tour were everything you could have expected from a park like this. The park opened in 1989 as Disney MGM Studios with a Hollywood production studio theme. Nowadays, the park has some of the best rides at Walt Disney World, but it lost the rides that screamed Hollywood Studios. We'll do our best though and look at what they have currently, starting with Alien Swirl. You know what? I can't even finish it. What are we doing here? Let's focus on the real attractions. This park has a surprising amount of cloned rides or different variations of rides that exist in other Disney parks. One of those is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I don't think I've ever called a theme park ride a bundle of joy before, but I'm doing it now with Runaway Railway. This ride is a bundle of joy. Yes, it replaced the beloved Great Movie Ride, but it was the first Disney ride to star Mickey and Minnie Mouse. That's wild to think about. Mickey Mouse didn't have a proper ride until the 2020s. That significance aside, Runaway Railway is also in what some may consider the park's icon, the Chinese theater. There's something to be said about that, but this is a ride that exists at Disneyland too. To me, it doesn't have enough of that Hollywood feel to be the park's keystone ride. I'll rapid fire a few more clone type rides. Star Tours The Adventures Continue, Toy Story Mania, and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run all have counterparts in other parks. Those are all perfectly fine rides. I have nothing against them, but they're not completely unique to Hollywood Studios, so it's safe to say this park might have more appropriate options. By the time I actually post this video, Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith has probably just closed to be rethemed to the Muppets. As of now, we'll have to wait and see what this new version will be like. I think the idea of a launched, inverting Muppet roller coaster is a bit of an odd combination. The Muppets could be used for something more Muppety, but I'm getting off topic. Will this be the Hollywood Studios ride? Time will tell, but likely not. Slinky Dog Dash is one of the few Disney coasters that's actually themed to a coaster, not a mountain or a dark show building. It's adorable and might have some of the most delightful ride vehicles at any theme park. It's a super smooth and mild family coaster that doesn't have a lot going for it aside from being a cute Toy Story ride. That's not Hollywood Studios enough for me. There was one clone I didn't mention with the others, that of course being Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. I'm bringing it up now because it's too good to be lumped in with the others. This ride by itself is a reason to visit Hollywood Studios. If you've been on Rise of the Resistance, then I don't need to explain what makes this ride so special. If you haven't, then what are you waiting for? It might be the most impressive attraction at Walt Disney World, but even so, it's a ride that exists at Disneyland. I won't fully discredit it for that reason because it's such a high quality ride. For the one ride to save at Hollywood Studios, I'm having trouble deciding between that masterpiece of an attraction or the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Modern Hollywood Studios puts guests in the worlds of Disney's biggest movies, but it's also about the glitz and glamour, the magic of movie making. Tower of Terror hints at the golden age of Hollywood, fitting right into Sunset Boulevard. I know different versions of Tower of Terror exist at other Disney parks, but it just feels right here. It's classic, a bit spooky, and just thrilling enough to let you know this is Hollywood Studios. Magic Kingdom is too magical for a ride like this. EPCOT, too peaceful. Animal Kingdom, too beautiful. At Hollywood Studios, it's just right. Do I think the Twilight Zone theme perfectly sums up Hollywood Studios? Not entirely, but this ride is more than the Twilight Zone. Disney could take away the Twilight Zone part of this ride, tweak the story here and there, and the attraction would still be perfect for Hollywood Studios. The Twilight Zone is a little out of place for a modern Disney park because basically every other ride is some sort of in-house property. Anyway, enough of that. Even ignoring the Twilight Zone part, the tower itself is perfect for the park's skyline, having that classic Hollywood look. It may not be the perfect Keystone ride, but I think the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror is the best Hollywood Studios type of ride. Rise of the Resistance is a great Star Wars ride. Tower of Terror is a great Hollywood Studios ride. That's why I'm saving it as the park's one. Which Hollywood Studios ride would you save? The final park is Disney's Animal Kingdom. When this park opened in 1998, it was marketed as a new species of theme park, and that's pretty accurate because this park is special. So beautiful. Unfortunately, it currently only has 6 operating rides as of this video, so this should be somewhat quick. One of those 6 is the Wildlife Express train, which we'll just go ahead and cut that one now. The park has 3 more rides on the way once Tropical America opens, but for now, let's talk about what's there. To be honest, as I was putting this list together, I almost forgot about Cali River Rapids. I always forget it because I haven't been on this ride since middle school. I don't like getting that wet. Beautiful queue and whatnot, but I think this is a pretty easy pass. Hopefully my anti-getting drenched bias isn't showing too much, but Animal Kingdom has more deserving rides. If Navi River Journey has 1 million fans, then I'm one of them. If Navi River Journey has 1 fan, then I'm that one. If Navi River Journey has no fans, that means I'm... Navi River Journey is such a beautiful and relaxing ride, but as much as I like it, I don't see this as Animal Kingdom's keystone ride. Goodbye, Navi River Journey. May Awa be with you. Avatar Flight of Passage is probably the park's most popular ride right now and has been so for the past decade. By the way, I realized only a few years ago that the name Flight of Passage is a play on words of rite of passage. Brilliant. For that reason and that reason alone, it stays. Nah, I'm just kidding. Look, I know this ride was specifically requested by Avatar director James Cameron. How could I possibly go against that? But Animal Kingdom has 2 other rides I would consider irreplaceable. The Floating Mountains can stay, but I'm gonna have to sacrifice this one, not because I think it's bad or anything like that, but the top options at Animal Kingdom, although there aren't many, are really strong. Speaking of, Expedition Everest Legend of the Forbidden Mountain is a special coaster. Can you imagine Disney building a mountain coaster at this scale nowadays? I'm not sure we'll ever see anything like Expedition Everest ever again. And it balances out the park with a mythical animal, the Yeti. Although you could argue Pandora covers that too with Banshees. If this ride goes, there's no replacing the scale, the adventure, and everything else this coaster delivers. I really want to save Expedition Everest, but I don't think Animal Kingdom can exist without Kilimanjaro Safaris. This attraction covers about 100 acres, has more than 30 species of seemingly free-roaming animals, and takes about 20 minutes to go through the whole ride. As spectacular as Expedition Everest is, Kilimanjaro Safaris is Animal Kingdom. There's no replacing this. I don't really need to explain it that much more because this ride and its importance to Animal Kingdom speaks for itself. It's a safari! While Avatar may have the wow factor to be in commercials and on billboards, nothing says Animal Kingdom more than a safari with live animals. I honestly don't think there's an argument to be made about any other Animal Kingdom ride. This one is too obvious. I wanted to save each and every ride, but the 4 Keystone rides we ended up with were Haunted Mansion, Spaceship Earth, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, and Kilimanjaro Safaris. Do you agree with these selections? If you could save only one ride from each Walt Disney World park, which ones would you choose? Let me know down in the comments. And hey, here are some other videos you might like too. Oh look, the subscribe button in case you want to stick around. Thanks everyone for watching.